What's up, guys? It's D22 So Wayne Chiang of the Live at the Bike Poker Stream. We have Blake Yu back again. Blake, high stakes reg, LA reg from the great school UC San Diego. Also traveled to Matrix and skinned them for a little bit as well. Welcome
you might
back.
Say that, yeah.
Welcome back, Blake.
Hey, how's it going, man?
So what? It's August, late August. It's been 5 months in quarantine.
Yeah, more or less.
Where do you think the LA poker scene's heading?
You know, there's a lot of prop games popping up now. I think it's just going to be a different landscape for a while, and I think what's happening is that a lot of people are trying to get fed up with just not being able to play in public casinos or whatever. So I think a lot of people have taken the initiative to just start their own games, run their own games, and go from there. I mean, I've always thought that if you're running the game and not actually having to play in the game, you're doing pretty well. Because they're going to rake the shit out of the game anyway, and maybe if they do play in the game, the players that they're inviting, they can probably beat the game too. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's not that LA didn't already have a lot of home games, but now I think it's like, from what I'm hearing and from my sources, I think there's a lot of games that run like 2 or 3 times a week, and for significant amounts of money too. Not like a typical 2-5 home game, like 10-25, 25-50, 51. It's a good amount of games going on out there. So, I mean, if you guys can get an invite, I'd probably take it. But the reg is high. So,
do you get invites?
Aware of that. Yeah, I've actually been invited to a few games. I'm probably going to start playing next month.
Sick.
Try it out. I mean, I typically don't like home games because there was one game that I played in Orange County once. I didn't get paid. Like, I won money, and I got my buy-in back, but I didn't get paid my winnings, which sucked. So, and it was like, I think it was probably like 13 grand or something, like 12, 13 grand. I didn't get paid.
Wow.
So after that, kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. It was crazy because I'd been playing in the game for like about 4 times, and I'd gotten paid every time. I think I won 3 times and lost once, but it wasn't very much. And, they were pretty good. They were really good about paying me out on time, whatever. And then that 5th time, they just, I don't think a lot of the players and the other players in the game got paid either. And I got an email about it from like another player who just got a hold of me somehow. And the game disbanded, and then I think the guy like, he got arrested for something, the host of the game or something. So there's a lot to consider and be careful of playing in private games. There's a lot of downside. So
yep.
Yeah.
I'm commonly asked about that stuff, which I don't really participate in. So I just kind of, say, hey, do it at your own risk.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're like, how do I say this? Unless you're fine with the risk and just totally okay with losing your buy-in or your winnings or whatever for that particular day, with like no fault of your own, then don't go. So,
would you say?
I mean, the chances are pretty low, but it could happen. So that's my take on that whole situation and scene. It's a very you put a lot of trust into that type of scene because the game might not be legitimate. The game might be, there might be some bad dealers, whatever. You could not get paid. Game could get robbed. I mean, there's just so many like factors outside when you're outside of a public casino that's regulated, has security, etc., whatever. So obviously a lot of things I'm saying likelihood is extremely low, but something to be aware of.
How do you compare it to like, playing on apps?
Playing on apps, haven't really had the greatest experience playing on apps. I was in the whole Poker Master craze a few years ago where people are playing on the Chinese apps. And I've been hearing a lot of things that came out now that there was like a ton of collusion at certain stakes. So, I mean, when you're putting your, again, it's basically an extension of a home game, but on the internet. So that is again, you're putting a lot of trust into something to where I don't think people can be trusted in a lot of spots like that. So similar amount of risk playing on apps. I feel like nowadays it's a little safer. Like some of the apps that like people are playing on now, like Poker Bros and stuff like that. I think it's a lot safer now. There's more regulation, but who knows, man? I'm just going off by what I've heard and from personal experience playing. I think there's a lot less collusion now from the games that I've been playing. I play a little bit on Poker Bros and other apps like that. But I just stick to a couple sites, play some Ignition, play some Global Poker, and that's pretty much it. I'm happy with that. I've had other people trying to get me to play in their clubs and stuff, and I've declined because I just also the rake on Poker Bros is very high, so I don't think it's like as lucrative at the moment or whatever. Like even I guess profitable. I wouldn't even say online poker is really lucrative at all. Unless you're playing like 5-10 plus, so which I'm not. So yeah,
Poker Bros does have some good stuff, which is like you have to stay with the 40% VPIP or 70% VPIP. There are tables like that, right?
There's some, not a ton, but I don't think it's like a huge deal. I mean, it's not like you're ever going to be able to play in those games anyway if you're like a winning pro, because you're not going to play 40% of hands in a 6-handed game, so, or a 9-handed game. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So I don't worry about stuff that you really can't control. I mean, I guess you could probably find a way to get in 40% of hands. Just defend your big blind with pretty much anything. Which, I mean, I could see some merit to that, given the types of players that are playing in that type of game. I mean, I guess you could just be defending like Jack 6-0 to a hijack open. I don't know, figure it out. But maybe you could just find a way to lose a little less than your average player, especially if the field's very weak. I don't know. Thought about this. Just like, hey, maybe I will join this game. Maybe I'll figure out a way to just start 3-betting the small blind with like Ace 4-0 or some shit like that, or like King 10 offsuit, as opposed to just keeping it suited. Could just find a way to squeeze in a few more hands in there. Just 3-bet all your suited Broadway or off-suited Broadways. Get you up to 40%. I mean, 40% of hands is a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. You have to like make an effort to hit 40%.
Like if you're playing like 25% of hands in 6-handed play, that's a lot. So yeah, be interesting though for like a challenge. Like if someone wanted to do that as like an online challenge, like, hey, can I win over like 50,000 hands playing like 30 to 40% of hands a 6-max game? Can I do it?
in this era,
I bet against it, but it'd be interesting to see. Cool challenge.
Yeah, this era is definitely harder. I think back in the day, maybe
yeah.
more doable.
In today's game, yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, sure, there are people that like almost did that type of stuff every day as like their bread and butter game. So, I mean, people used to do that shit in tournaments. They do really well. I mean, maybe they still do. I don't know that much about tournaments, so maybe they still do. It's hard to say.
I mean, it's ever shifting. Like I was playing tournaments online the beginning of quarantine. I was, running pretty good. I kept telling Brian the live with Bike Dark. I'm like, dude, I'm like final tabling. Like, I'm going deep in like, I don't know, over 2/3, and final tabling like 25% is like not real. But I'm playing small too, and the fields are really weak. But it just seems like in those fields, in the mid and the small fields, you just play super tight and let people self-destruct, just like 15 years ago.
Oh, I wouldn't say super tight, but I mean you pick your spots and you solid.
Right.
Once antes come in, you get a little aggressive, and people. People don't understand how to play once antes come in in those fields. Obviously, in more advanced tournaments today, people are so good that,
right.
Yeah, people get it. People understand a little more. But I think tournament fields will always be weaker than cash game fields. So, if you're looking to try to find something fun that you might be pretty good at it. I would try tournaments if I was a new player. I mean, once you get a little older and you get a little more seasoned in the game, you probably will grow a little tired of tournaments because of the variance. It's kind of a grind. It's not the easiest existence because you can just brick 15 tournaments in a row and play pretty good and win nothing.
I think Darren Elias bricked around 45 in a row.
I believe it. You know what's funny? I played him heads up one time, like at Hawaiian Gardens. I didn't know who he was, and he was like expecting me to know who he was, and then like it was just like, I mean, he's a nice guy, but like, yeah, he was just like, he had this like attitude as if like I cared who he was or whatever. He was pretty good, but yeah. And then someone texted me, was like, dude, you know who that is? I'm like, no, I'm just trying to start a game, like whatever. I'm just trying to start a second Must Move game. And they're like, oh my god, he's like this super like aggressive wizard guy. I'm like, okay, whatever. So what? I'm good too. Like, I mean, whatever, you know. I mean, I'm not a heads up guy. I probably don't have an edge on that guy. I don't know. I might be breaking. I mean, who knows? Like, the thing is with a lot of these guys with the reputation, I've always found them vastly disappointing. Like whenever someone sat down at a table with me and they're like just some amazing, their reputation precedes them pro or whatever, I've always been very disappointed. Like I'll just see them do something where I'm just like, wow, that's a great mistake against this type of player. Or like, where the fuck are your fundamentals? What, like you made all this money, so like 3-betting the small blind 7-3 suited is going to work out for you? Like I okay, yeah, sure. You know, that's how you have $4 million in tournament winnings. You know, you 3-bet the 7-3 suited and it comes 3-3-9, and then you get a lot of money from pocket 10. It's cool. You know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's always like that, but yeah, I see that shit all the time. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what a world class player looks like. Cool. Okay, I've been doing it wrong for 20 years or whatever. I've been doing it wrong my whole life. So.
I don't know. I had good experience with Darren, but you know, it's
no, Darren's cool. No,
yeah.
I'm not talking about him. He was like really classy. He's a cool guy. I think he's a good player from what I've seen. I don't know, 8 hours I play with him. I think he's pretty good. So,
what year did you play him heads up?
Probably 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Year and a half ago. Yeah, it's 2020. Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he was just in town for the HG like WPT thing, and he's the thing is he's like he was funny because he's like trying to deny that he's a pro, and he's sitting at a 10. He's trying to start a 1025 or sorry, a 1020 game or a 2040 game, and he's sitting with $25,000, and I'm like, okay, dude, like you're obviously a pro. Like nobody fucking sits with $25,000 in a fucking 1020 or 2040 game, whatever it was. Yeah, so just funny.
Well, everyone has to, you know, make their narrative to be a little humble, and
he's rich, dude. Whatever. He's good for him. He's crushing it. He's a good player that figured it out, and he's been around a long time, and decided to throw some of that money into tournaments. And he's pretty smart. Takes the game very seriously, and yeah, he's rich. More power to him. He's living the dream. That's the thing with a lot of tournament guys. You gotta like do well early on, because if you fuck up and you brick a lot of those tournaments early in your career, it's not going to get off the ground. You'll just end up being you'll end up being a unknown cash game player, like me.
That was like, I don't know, that was a life choice for a lot of people. I mean, you know, Garrett and Andy don't have many tournament scores either.
Yeah, I mean, I never actually tried to play a lot of tournaments, but I don't know if I did. Doubt I would have done well. So I just ended up running cash.
Just gotta run good in those things.
No, I mean there's skill. I'm not saying there's skill,
no, there is. But there are a lot of good players as well.
Although I've encountered a few cash game players, I think there is no skill in tournaments. I swear. Like there's a couple players in the high stakes LA scene where I've like talked to them about this, and they're like, yeah, there's no skill in tournaments. I'm like, what? And they're like, no, I mean, maybe in the higher, but they say for generally on most of the tournaments, live tournaments, they're like, just run good for 3 days and you win, or you do well. You don't have to be good. You just have to be okay. As long as you're not completely giving it away, tournaments are no skill. That's what they said, not me. Their words, not mine. But I mean,
I
Crazy.
mean,
maybe there's some truth to that. I have no fucking idea. So
we've been playing long enough. Plus, like, we watch enough televised stuff that's like not edited that you just get certain hands at key times.
sure.
2 or 3 of them, then that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some runs in the main event where I felt like if I had won that, queens or tens or something like that, I could have gone pretty deep. I mean, I went deep once, but yeah, even that tournament, I won a lot of flips to get like 120th, whatever. Like, yeah, I had so many spots where I was very lucky to come out ahead, and it had nothing to do with whether I was a great player or a better player than my opponent. I'll admit that right now. So, yeah.
So there was like a minor reopening in June, and then it shut
I played
down.
a little bit. Yeah, it was good.
How'd you feel?
Different. That poker will never be the same. Sadly, it was just like plexiglass barriers, temperature checks, cleaning the tables. I mean, they're doing all the right things to facilitate a somewhat safe and healthy atmosphere. But I mean, the players seem sort of happy to be back, I guess. Recreational players and pros a little bit, I guess. Unfortunately, nothing higher than 510, but that's okay. Yeah, there's just the games were really good. I'll say that. There was a couple games where like I was the only pro in the game, which is obviously a good sign. So, I'm just like starting to wonder when all the pros are going to come back. And they eventually started creeping back in. That by the end of it, before they're closing again, there was probably like 2 or 3 pros, like including me in the game at the end. But it was all right. I think I played like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, yeah. It's very slow. It's hard to come back to live poker when you've been playing like a bunch of tables online. You're like, oh man, this is 27 hands an hour compared to 70 hands an hour on like 6 to 9 tables. So got to be very patient. Remind yourself that it's a that you're not going to get an interesting hand every 2 minutes.
Most definitely not. And
yeah.
So rumors are they're going to try to reopen. I don't know, within a month, and have some.
Oh, that's good. Even the bikes.
Their rumor is they're trying to open outdoors, like a lot, if not all of the.
Wait. They're gonna have tables outdoors.
Yeah.
What the hell? With barriers?
Yep.
But the weather is so like warm right now. Why the hell would people want to be outside? Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
I mean, they came out during the June reopen, so,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd be into it. I don't know if I want to play poker in the sun, though. I mean, there'd obviously be umbrellas.
Yeah, and also it's under overhangs. I mean, we know the LA places have, the bike has the valet.
Well, that'd be cool, I guess. That'd be okay. That'd be kind of cool, actually. I'd be down for that. Because LA weather is pretty pleasant once the summer passes. It's been really hot recently, so yeah, that'd be interesting. It'd be nice at night, though. It's been really nice at night. It's been like 70 degrees at night, which is perfect, I guess, if you want to have an outdoor setting. It'd be kind of cool. We're so lucky to live in a place where like the weather's really good here.
Yeah.
Very flexible. Yeah.
No hurricanes.
I mean, you're just not a victim of circumstance, except for maybe earthquakes. But those are usually pretty rare.
Which there were a couple of them during quarantine.
Yeah, but not like, on the scale like 7 on a Richter or whatever.
Sure.
Nothing insane, like 4.1 or something like that, or whatever. I think wasn't like. I mean, I felt it, but I don't know if a lot of people like really, had a tough time with it. I'm not sure.
How long do you think the barriers will be up?
Maybe forever.
Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, are we gonna find a vaccine for COVID-19? Are we? I don't know. We have the whole world working on it, so I assume at some point we're gonna figure out some sort of solution.
There's some news, but like, just because there is a vaccine, it's like, availability costs.
I think we're at least 9 months to a year away, at least, because you gotta find a vaccine, you gotta test it, you gotta make sure it works. You gotta figure out how to distribute it, what it's gonna be priced at, if there's gonna be a price at all, which I'm sure there will be. You're gonna have to pay, which I think is ludicrous, which I think is ridiculous. For something like this, I think they should just give it. I mean, but people don't want to work for free, but I think they should be very cheap. I think they should just give it to everybody, honestly. And I'm not even like a bleeding heart liberal either. I mean, yeah, I don't think everything should be free, whatever. You should just take care of it. But I think for this type of thing, I think that it's a massive problem, and that I mean, people gotta. This is something that we should all be working together on, and we shouldn't be looking to make money off of. But I mean, obviously, that's not how the world works. It's just an idealism thing. But yeah, this is something that, I mean, if they do find a vaccine or some kind of solution, I think it should be given for everybody at a very low cost, or free, or whatever. I mean, it's just, this virus has already hurt enough people, financially and physically, that it'd be great to see the world do something nice to each other for a change. But what the fuck do I know? Probably won't happen.
I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I doubt it too. But it'd be nice. This is just me saying what I think. Be good if the world kind of like figured this one out and treat each other good on this one. But who knows? But yeah, I don't think poker's going to be the same, because like, until we get like a real grasp on it, there's going to have to be these safety measures in place. Whether or not they actually do any good, these barriers, temperature checks, whatever. I mean, I'm sure they do something, but yeah. I'm sure we've all been exposed to it at some point. Now, a lot of us might be asymptomatic. Maybe we've gotten it, we've had no symptoms, who knows? Or just haven't had major symptoms. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. But do you know people personally that have been hit?
Yeah, my girlfriend had it. Fucked her up, man. Wasn't great. Her coworker died from it. So, and her coworker was like 40.
Wow.
So, definitely not a hoax. She lost sense of taste and smell. Shortness of breath, difficulty getting up a flight of stairs, flu-like symptoms, fatigue, body chills, like 101 degree fever. Yeah, so those people that think it's some kind of weird hoax or that it doesn't exist, that's bullshit. I'm not saying it's like as huge of a problem as the media is blowing it out to be, but it is a real thing, and if you get it, there's a little bit of a dice roll, and you just better pray that you run good and that your symptoms aren't that bad. She ended up being okay. She had to stay isolated for 3 weeks, but
wow,
from talking and FaceTiming with her when she was in her hotel isolated, it's not great. You don't want to get it. Plus, like, there's a lot of permanent damage it could do to your lungs.
I've heard.
Fortunately, I don't think that was the case with her, and her symptoms were, I wouldn't say mild, but manageable. So it's not something that you want to go through. So thinking that it's okay to just spread and contract it, I don't know. We know so little about it, but it is a real thing, and it is possible that your symptoms could really suck. And it's actually surprising that I haven't gotten it. That I didn't get it from her, or maybe I just had no symptoms, because I'm pretty sure I should have gotten it, because I was around her during the times where she was contagious, and I just either I got it and nothing happened, or I just didn't get it somehow. I don't know. And I don't know. I've been working out playing basketball at this basketball gym out in the San Gabriel Valley a few times a week, and they have a similar protocol to Commerce. They just wash everything down every 2 hours, and they temperature checks. People got to wear a mask, and we're just playing basketball, but I don't know. I could have been exposed to it there too. But yeah, COVID, it's real. You don't want to get it. And if you're unlucky, the consequences could be pretty serious. So.
Yeah,
But I think if you're younger and you're pretty healthy, most likely not much is going to happen to you. Assuming you don't have any underlying health conditions like diabetes. Sure. Compromised immune system, etc. So, yeah.
John Sin got hit.
Really?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He was fine. He recovered from it, and then, he came on live with the bike when we reopened. And
his symptoms were pretty bad, or he had pretty normal, like my girlfriend's symptoms, just standard flu-like.
I want to, get him on PokerCraft to ask, but it'll probably get him in like a week or two. But it wasn't good, but it wasn't like super bad.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, see? Yeah, I mean, he got lucky. He ran good. Clearly he runs good. He won the main event, so he survived COVID. That's another feather in his cap, you know what I mean?
Got to catch them all.
He's living the dream, dude.
One of the head of the screenwriting program at UCLA got it, and he was like over 70, and he was fine in like a week.
Wow, really? Damn. Yeah, I mean, I've heard some success stories on the internet where, like, yeah, 80-year-old guy catches it, he's fine. I'm like, dude, that is like, but the thing is, I mean, we don't know. I mean, it must just be such a dice roll that, like, okay, like maybe your body is just built to fight it and you're good. You have the antibodies and whatever. Like, and then you have these other people that are just seemingly somewhat healthy and it just fucks them up. They got to be on a respirator, whatever, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, who knows? I could still fucking get it. I have no fucking idea. I haven't been tested, so.
There's like, so much talk data. Everyone's in different circumstances, so it's so hard to.
Yeah, we're basically in the stone age of understanding it so far, which sucks. So it's going to be a while until we really get a good understanding and firm grasp of what the hell's going on with this thing. Just really sucks. I mean, a lot of small business owners have been hit. A lot of yeah, everything, man. Yeah, I mean, I think a third of the country's on unemployment. I've gotten some unemployment money. I'm chilling. I'm happy. Yeah. So
Me too. But
yeah, you got some unemployment money. Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, obviously we pay taxes, so we're gonna get a little bit back. So it's nice. But I mean, it's not like a fortune or anything. But I'm glad I'm getting some assistance. I'm not opposed to it. I mean, if the government's going to give me back some of my tax money, I'm taking it. So
I know some other, I don't know. In my network, I had quite a few people who, well, not a lot, probably in the 20 or so people, and then I know other groups where they have family members that gotten it, or they know people that gotten it. So
yeah.
No one in my network has died.
That's good. The thing is with this whole thing is that I'm wondering if like older people will want to play poker anymore in a live setting because of this whole COVID thing. Now, obviously, there's going to be some people. They might be older, but they're just such degenerates. They can't stay away. They just can't. They're just like, fuck it. If I die, I die. I want to gamble. Whatever. But I think some of the sharper older people, or people that are a little more woke about this type of whatever, people that are a little more cautious, but they do like to play. They may not like. They might just be like, you know what? This is gonna be a hobby that I have to give up, because like I'm not gonna risk my life, possibly if I'm like 65, to just go into a card room or a home game. Then if I get it, I could be fucked. So I'm not sure. And the thing is, a lot of the recreational players, that some of the pros are making money off of, they're on the older side. So that could affect poker a lot in the long term. And I think I don't know, man. Could be a process. A lot of us might have to just start searching for something else to do within poker that makes money online, whatever.
How long have we heard that before? But you know what happened with the 7-card stud industry, right?
No.
So 7-card stud, obviously the age demographic is higher.
Of course, yeah.
We were joking around. So first it happened in Vegas. There used to be like 40, 80, 80, 160, 30, 60 stud at Bellagio. I would happily play, but obviously the guys are much older. And back in the day, like 15, 30, they would be much older, and people would joke like, oh, the game's going to die once these guys die.
Yeah.
And they actually did.
Yeah, I believe it.
And then in LA, as we know, up until a couple years ago, the 100, 200, 7-card stud.
The 1-2 stud game was famous. It was
Yeah.
like one of the sickest games. People moved out, and then it just died, right?
Yeah, a couple years ago. I mean,
why did it die though? Because people in the game just stopped, or they died? They actually died.
both, I think. I mean, when a lot of people with a lot of expendable income start buying in $2,000 at a time to, 1 or 200, it's not like they would buy in like 2,000, bust that, buy another 2,000, right. So on. When that starts happening, then, the days are numbered. I still see quite a few of them around. I don't want to name names, but like they sometimes play Hold'em. Sometimes I see them at the bike,
Yep. Sucks.
But basically that's what happened to the 7-card stud industry, and then probably like 20, 30 years that's going to happen to limit Hold'em. And like you mentioned, even no limit might not be safe.
I think no limit will always be a pretty safe game. So will Omaha.
It will always be there because of the marketing, but or just because
it's the one game that people. It's the one game that people think about when they think about poker.
Yeah,
they think about Hold'em and they think about Omaha. So, because it's the same format, you get a flop. There's pre-flop betting round, flop turn a river. You in PLO you can get your stack in pretty easily. So it's not like, you can't go all in, but like you could get your stack in a lot of points in the hand. It's pretty easy. You just pot it, whatever. So yeah. Limit Hold'em, 7-card stud. You're basically a living dinosaur. If you're regging those games and you don't have any other games in your bag, you're a living dinosaur. So I mean
you're going
in today's economy, which sucks because it's crazy. Like even just a few years ago at the World Series, people were playing tons of games, man. It was great. I kind of miss it now. I kind of miss how the diversity of poker and how many options you had. Even just in like 2017, 2018, there was a lot of games to play. A lot of different huge player pools. I actually think 2018, 2019, I think the World Series was a huge success. There was a lot of players that played the main. There was I think the economy has been pretty decent in the last few years. They're getting a lot of people in the main event. I don't know how that reflects on the actual economy, but the poker economy, from me being out there, I thought it was pretty good. I was actually pretty surprised. I was like, wow, like there's good poker games in 2018, 2019. Cool.
You know why, right?
I have no idea.
Crypto boom? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Half joking.
I know a lot of people that lost a lot. I know a lot of people that lost a lot back too. They just like, they bought a lot in the beginning, and then they bought a lot at like 16K, and they're like, yeah, to the moon, bro. It's going to 35K, and then they lost, but and they just I know a lot of people that lost like $200,000 or $300,000 back because they just they went all in at like 13, 14. Like they already had some, and then they bought like another like X amount, 100K at like 14K, and then it went to 20, and they're like, yeah, I'm rich, and then they held, and it's gone all the way back down, and they lost all of it back. So it's like, it's gross, dude. Like a lot of my friends that did okay or lost back, they didn't even think of ever not holding it. They never thought of selling it. They're just like, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna cash out. Whatever, screw it. I'm just gonna hold until the wheels fall off, and they kind of did. So yeah, that sucks, but whatever. But yeah, crypto. I was definitely seeing a lot of crypto pros in my games, in like 2017, because I'm just like, I would see these new pros that I've never seen before, and all they would talk about today was crypto, and I'd talk to them a little bit, like, yeah, man, I made like 300K in crypto this year, and like now I'm a 2040 reg, and I'm like, really, are you? Okay, that's cool. What were you playing before? They're like, oh, like 2.5, the local casino. I'm like, okay, well, cool, good luck, man. That's interesting success story. It's one way to do it.
We roll with the punches in our era.
Well, the thing is, when you expedite the process of being a pro or whatever, and like you just jump into those games, and you really haven't faced those types of players before, and you're not ready for it. Like, you might not do that well. So I don't think their expectations. I mean, maybe for them it's just like a recreational thing, because they're like, yeah, I'm here, whatever, I got a lot of money. I got money to burn, and I'll learn from it. I'll learn the hard way and then get better that way. I mean, that's one way of doing it. But I think if you're a 2-5 guy, you're just like a low stakes guy from online or whatever, and you're not experienced playing better players out in the live setting especially when you're deep. It's kind of I don't know. It's kind of cringe to just try to like play in those games and feel like you belong in those games because you probably don't.
Well, that's good for the environment.
Yeah. No, but these guys are pros though, so they're not like bad for the game. It's just like for their own personal success and their own growth. I'm not sure it's like the best thing to do to just jump up like 8 times the stakes, then just be like, all right, guys, I'm here. Like, I'm, like I didn't go through the process, but whatever, But I mean, maybe some people are just prodigies and they're just good. They pick it up quickly, and they're just naturals for the game. I don't know, but yeah, I know that if I had just jumped up stakes really quickly, like quicker than I probably should have, I don't think it would have gone well for me. And maybe I'm just a slow learner, but
no, you gotta.
I'm sure a lot of other pros would say the same thing. Like if they just jumped up from like 1-2 online, and just started bankroll blitzing 5-10 back in the day, like I don't think they would do that well. It's harder. Like I mean, those guys are playing higher stakes for a reason. They're probably a little better and more aggressive. They understand. They respond to aggression better. They're better post flop. Their bet sizing is really good, etc. So, yeah, people are good, man.
Yeah, I mean, you have to learn things at different levels or different experiences, and just facing different adversity. Like
it's tough in poker for someone to admit that someone is like better than you, which is hard for a lot of players.
No, I never had any issues.
Like, sometimes when I've been shot taking in some games or whatever, I've had a hard time being like, damn, like that guy is better than me. Wow, that guy's really good. Like I struggle with it. Like it's not like I'm not acknowledging that they're really good, because I think they are good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard for me to acknowledge like, damn, like I cannot beat these guys. It's a hard thing to like internalize, and you're like, I need to get better. So it's hard to pull yourself away from that bigger game that once you've already been playing, to be like, okay, man, I need to take a step back. Like these players are definitely better than me. It's a lot to process. So, yeah.
I think, like, one, obviously, if they've been playing high stakes and been around, it's their sole or main focus, then longevity is probably the biggest indicator. And I think what's underneath the surface, too, is like, and I mentioned this on Live with Bike before, is like tactics. Like,
yeah,
everybody's got a pocket full of tricks, and then if you haven't seen it or you're not ready for it, you get slammed in the face, and then you have to go home, think about it, come up with your own, or
you learn the hard way. Like once someone does something that you're not familiar with, or makes a play, or bets a certain size with a range that you're not familiar with, and you don't understand how to react to it, probably not going to go well for you.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting is that the game is so structured nowadays, and a lot of the strategies that people use in No Limit are so like internalized, and they're just meta with everybody, that I mean, yeah, it's like I said, like you don't really have to be that good at poker to do well, to be profitable. You don't really have to be that. You don't have to be that talented, man. Like just do it. Do what all the Doug Polk and Ryan Fee upswing poker videos tell you to do, and you're going to be pretty good. Like you're going to be decent, no matter what. Like there's like a safety net now with like a lot of like regs that want to be decent. Yeah, I mean, their training sites are so damn good that like you could be a fucking idiot, and as long as like you're self-aware, a little bit self-aware, and you listen, I mean, it's hard not to be like at least okay. So, yeah. So I'm saying like everybody's like pretty decent, dude. The game's so structured, everybody kind of knows what to do. Now, obviously, there's a lot of like exploitative spots that people are not good at. Like there's a lot of exploitative situations that people are not good at, or there's situations where something you should be protecting your range, or you need to be balanced in a certain spot, but people won't do it because it gets out of their comfort zone. For example, like people don't want to like call down with like they like top pair to 3-bet pot, like on a jack high board, to three bets or whatever. You know, and for some players you can obviously fold, but like yeah, like they don't want to call it like ace jack and a jack high board in their pot and just close their eyes and call the river because it's like, you know, it's out of their comfort zone. Or some players will never fold that spot, knowing that they're just beat by like a tight guy, and because it gets them out of their comfort zone. It's like, oh, it's not structured. Like people struggle with that all the time. Like, yeah, like, or like people say like, oh, I don't want to fold here because I'm at the top of my range, but I don't have a really good reason to like do any, like, I don't have a lot of times people make plays just going by the book, or like going by,
yeah,
like they don't have any other justification for it, even though like if I was to play that hand, it might be pretty obvious that this player is doing something that might justify a different action. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I say this, like I always said that I never respect the people that say like, oh, like I'm pretty high in my range, I'm just never gonna fold this hand ever in any circumstance. But I'm like, dude, that's kind of dumb. Like if you're up against a player that just really under bluffs the spot, and you've seen him do it, yeah, or I wouldn't say always has it. I'm just saying, like, if you're up against a player that's just very under bluffing the spot, or if you think about his range from what you've seen, and he's way under bluffing the spot, like you might want to consider folding. Or if like, yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to me that people, but that's part of getting out of your comfort zone, is actually making choices that aren't by the book, and you actually have to use your brain and critically think. I think that's something lost on new players, that they kind of, they just don't know. They don't have enough experience, and that's why experience is valuable. So, but yeah, to be competent, yeah, just do what all the trading sites tell you to do, and you'll be fine. But in terms of the more intricate spots, with like laying down a hand or making a good call or like jamming on someone pre-flop, you know, sticking it in with like ace queen pre or something like that, or just, you know, just these very special situations where, you know, they could be doing something that you could exploit for a small edge. I don't know, a lot of guys don't do it. And a lot of times when you're playing GTO and you're playing optimally with your range, there are times where you have to bluff the river, and you have to overbet, and you have to get out of your comfort zone. And like, yeah, they might have called a turn, you got to jam the river, and you have air, but you have a range advantage, so you get a press advantage, and people don't do it. They don't do it enough. I'm not saying they don't do it, but they don't do it enough. So that's again, that's experience, execution, being in that spot, understanding it. So when you expedite the process of really getting the experience you need to do well against better players, it can hurt you for sure, because your execution is bad, because you don't have a lot of experience in the tougher spots. I say it all the time. I'm not sure if it's like I'm not sure how I come off, or if it really applies to everybody, but that's just what I see. That's my perspective.
I think one of the harder things
from my own experience and seeing others.
With regards to this topic, like I've definitely been in some spots where I've called, and then I have multiple people I respect just say like, you can't call there. And in my head, at the moment, I'm just like, I have to, or, you know, that's what I'm supposed to do. But like multiple people I respect are just be like, or just tell me that I have to fold there. It's tough. It's really tough, because you have to go home, you have to really think about it and be like, look, these guys know what they're doing, they mean you well, and they're all saying that you're wrong.
Yeah, I've had hand histories that I've said to people like that, where they're just like, they completely disagree with me. I'm like, fuck, like they're just as good or better than I am. Fuck, maybe I should reconsider what the hell I'm thinking. What the fuck was I thinking in that hand? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, wow. And then it's crazy too, because maybe you start playing the way that your peers tell you to, and then it starts working out for you, and you're like, oh wow, and it opens up like a whole new perspective on the game. You're like, wow, right. Like, I do start calling this spot, good things can start happening. That's the thing with poker, though. It's like it's so tempting to be results oriented sometimes. Like,
yeah.
I used to say this all the time, that when you haven't done your research on a lot of spots, and you haven't done your research on a lot of river spots, turn spots, etc., whatever, you have a tendency to be results oriented, because let's say you make a river overbet in a spot and you're bluffing and you get caught, whatever. and you haven't done your research on that spot, and you don't know if this is the right hand to bluff for your range, whatever, the board, etc., what their range is. You might be tempted to say, "Oh, that was bad. I got caught. Fuck! Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's uncomfortable. I lost a lot of money here." But then if it gets through, your mind might be tempted to think, "Oh, this is a great play. Oh, sick! I just got him to fold I got him to fold ace 10 on an ace king 6 board, and I did just fire 3 times and then ran our brick, and he just folded an ace. Cool. Like, I'm great. This is awesome. I'm gonna start doing this all the time." But like, if you haven't done your research on this spot, like, your mind is naturally going to respond to what actually happens in real time. Like, it's going to associate, like, if you get caught, oh, bad. If you don't get caught, oh, good. Like, your mind associates the results. Your mind gets very associated with the results, and then all of a sudden you're results oriented, and then like, it really fucks with your head, man, because all the plays that are out of your comfort zone that you're making, whether or not you're going to do that again and you're going to keep doing it, highly depends on the results, which is not good. That's not a healthy mindset. You're just going to be beating yourself up and your results are going to be inconsistent. I've noticed that. Even with myself. I mean, I make mistakes all the time, so.
That's why, like,
you don't want to be in that mindset for sure.
It was a pleasure watching, like, Dan Zach play on camera, because, like, a lot of things he did, I'm just like, if it had been like anybody else, or maybe a pool of like 5 to 10 to maybe 20 people, it would have to be like those people for me to be like, oh, I better reconsider what I'm doing in this spot.
Yep. Yeah, he's great. He almost never makes any mistakes.
He what?
So, he almost never makes mistakes. All my years of knowing him, he's quite good. He knows what he's doing. But he does his research. He thinks about all these spots, even in his free time. He's using Pile Solver, he's using anything. He's using all his Bunker Solver, etc. He's doing all the things that are required of being a successful pro poker player. He takes it really seriously. He treats it like a business. He treats it like he's like getting his PhD in poker, and he's just doing all the research and he's doing his job.
I think it's beyond PhD.
Yeah. I mean, most people run from the grind. Most people don't want to do that shit, and I don't blame them. It's fucking boring.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're even talking about it sucks for poker, because the fact that we're at a point where people can actually get that good at this sucks.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of smart people out there that can get very good very quickly. And he's a culmination, and he's an example of that. So.
Well, common topic. Like, I was asked in the last Taiwan Andy and Kitty stream, like, why I don't play high stakes anymore. I'm like, actually, I do jump in from time to time, but I just like, I don't want my life to depend on it anymore. It's like such a crappy life, at least for me. I know some people like, can handle it way better than me.
Sure, yeah. I know plenty of good players. Not plenty, but I know a couple of good players that I was pretty close to, and that I'm still close with, that they played poker early on in my career, and they were kind of with me in the same boat, and they were kind of like a budding high stakes player or whatever, like just a good solid pro that had a lot of potential, and they quit because it just either they went broke or it just took too much of a toll on them emotionally. Like, one of my best friends, he hovered between, like, he was an online tournament guy, he played some online cash, he was really good, very talented guy, super nice guy, and I used to stake him for 5-10 and 10-20, and like, he was so fucking hard on himself emotionally, man. Like, he just couldn't take it. Like, and what would happen is he would go on these winning streaks, he'd play a lot, he'd do great, he's good, and then he would just lose a few sessions and then just completely go off the rails. Like, he would stop playing for a few months, just couldn't take it, man. Or like, would get in these situations where, like, he would describe a hand history to me, or I'd be at the table with him, and he would just do things, like, in situations in a big game where we were, like, taking a shot or whatever, that he would just, like, he would do things that he would, like, never otherwise do. Like, force a play or do something dumb, like make a really undisciplined call or make, whatever. And and then he would just, like, not want to play for a while. And I'm like, dude, like, you gotta have amnesia. With like those types of situations. Like, you make a mistake, like, you got to just forget about it. Like, learn from your mistake. Like, I'm not saying you have amnesia in terms of, like, don't think about why, like, you were wrong or why I was a bad player or whatever. But, like, you know, like, learn from your mistake, but then, like, just forget about it, man. Like, just put it in the back of your mind and move forward. And there's nothing you can do about it now. And all you can do is just learn from your mistake. And it's not really a mistake if you learn from it. Then you get better, and then you're going to make the money back. It pays for itself, you know? So, but he just couldn't, like, he just could never just be in control of himself, of his emotions. So he had to end up doing something. You know, he's back in school now and he's doing okay. But yeah, I always thought he was like one of the most talented players I ever played with. But the emotions, man, it's just, and he wouldn't even like get mad, like outwardly mad. He would just get like disconnected, no motivation, just like depressed, like, you know, just so disgusted with the game that he just didn't want to play anymore. Yeah, or like just like zapped all his work ethic. It's sad, man, because it's like you can have all the talent, but if you don't have the mentality and the mental fortitude to just deal with like you fucking up or you getting screwed by the deck or whatever, or someone just outplaying you and being better than you, and you gotta like pick yourself up and learn from that. It's hard, man. So it doesn't matter how talented you are if you can't process the ups and downs of poker in a positive way. So
I think a lot of us, or a lot of people nowadays, are less concerned about, you know, skill, but more concerned about longevity. And, you know, there's that famous Phil Hellmuth to Tom Dwan quote, "Let's see if you're even around in 5 years."
Yeah. Well, I mean, something that's so fucking underrated, I think, and I know it sounds really like, I'm not one of those like good vibes only, like, yeah, man, good vibes only, put in all the work, dude, you're gonna do amazing, like, whatever, dude, I'm a fucking life coach and I'll just tell you what to do, and life's just amazing, and like I always run good. No, like, I'm not like that at all, but I do think the mental game is like super important, man. A lot of people don't work on a lot of people just have bad mental game, dude. They have shit mentals. Like, I see a lot of players, like, they lose a hand and they just completely fucking lose it. And I'm like, dude, like, yeah, like, you can't be devastated after losing 150 bigs, dude. It fucking happens, man.
Wow,
like,
yeah. Like,
at a live table, like, you gotta hold it together. I've seen people crush cards. I've seen good players that have been on live with the bike throw cards at the dealer and shit. Like, I'm like, dude, like, your mental's got to be better than this. And a lot of it's just entitlement to it.
Yeah.
They've won so much in their career that they can't imagine like getting two-outed. Like, they can't imagine getting cooler in a spot where like they feel like they should win. But it's like, dude, you got to hold it together, man. Like, you're not immune to it. And yeah, people got to work on their mental game. But I don't know if like mental game is something that can be taught until you experience pain. So I mean, you could read all the Tommy Angelo books you want on like not tilting or whatever, and you could read all the like mental self-care books you want, but maybe mental game is one of those things that you can't be really great at until you experience some pain and you build up some tolerance to it. Because I'll tell you right now, a lot of players have really shit tolerance to like the downs of poker. I mean, they're obviously great when there's ups.
Everybody.
Ups, yeah, everybody. I mean, most people are, yeah. But to the downs and the difficult times of poker, yeah, most people they can't handle it, man. And it's fucking embarrassing too. Like, I've seen it at Commerce, like players that play in the game every day, they're just fucking throwing cards at the dealer and shit like that. And these are like young under 35 players doing this shit.
Wow. And
like the older pros are just like, we're kind of looking at each other like, is this kid gonna like fucking just blow? Is his head gonna blow up? If he takes one more beat, like, is this guy even gonna be in the game for much longer? Like, it's kind of crazy, dude. It's really cringe, man. People gotta get a hold of their mentals, man, because it looks very unprofessional. I think if you're throwing a tantrum at the table, like, if you're a pro, not a fish, whatever. Fish can do whatever the fuck they want. I don't give a shit if a fish throws a tantrum, whatever. Yeah, it looks very unprofessional, man. Like I think it's bad for the game if you're berating other players, you're crushing cards, you're throwing cards, you're slamming chips. I mean, I've seen people at LAP. I saw some Euro kid at LAPC literally just like shove his stack at someone at the table. Like, he gets stacked and he just pushes his chips, like,
Wow.
and makes a mess all over the fucking table. I'm like, dude, like, you've been playing poker for like 5 years. What the fuck are you doing? Like, slows the game down. Now we're gonna pick up your chips. The fish in the game feel really weirded out. They're like, oh, whoa, like this Euro kid just like lost his mind, man. Like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, you can't do that. I mean, it's okay to get a little flustered, show a little bit of emotion, whatever. But like, yeah, don't do something like that. I mean, because it looks really bad. So, mental game, man, it's so underrated. I don't care how good you are. Like, you gotta be somewhat even keeled. That's why I respect some of the older pros. Like, I don't know, like, I don't even know who to say that anybody would know that's listening to this pod. But yeah, someone on Love with the Bike, like one of the most even keeled guys, like Nate Zimnick. You know, he's been on Love with the Bike with Nathan, right? He's been on Love with the Bike before, right? That dude is the most even keeled, unrattleable person. It's not even a word, but yeah, that guy is fucking ice water, dude. I mean, I even have a nickname for him. I call him Natty Ice, dude.
Natty Ice,
like,
nice.
I call him Natty Ice, bro, because he's just so cold, cool, and calculated, dude. He'll get fucking whacked for a bunch of money, or he'll make a great play, and you'll never hear anything from him. He's as cool as a cucumber, bro. He's cool as the other side of the pillow. That dude, I don't think I've ever gotten under his skin. I mean, we're pretty friendly, but yeah, I don't think anyone's ever really gotten under his skin. He's the calmest motherfucker I've ever seen, bro. Yeah. He's to all the Live with the Bike guys, I know who that is, dude. He is a great player, and
I know he is. I know exactly which game he was into.
He is unmovable. He is unrattleable, and if he is rattled, he just quits. You know, he'll play to the cows come home. He'll play long sessions, but man, he is like, bro. If you could have that guy's mental game, I think he's one of like most underrated goats, bro. Like, he's emotionally, dude. He is just like a rock, dude.
I talked to him briefly. Yeah.
He's amazing, dude. Yeah, his emotional and his mental game is amazing, dude. I think, yeah. I hope he sees this. I hope he hears this, because I think, yeah, I have a lot of admiration for his attitude towards the game.
I'll let him know. I have his contact.
No, I
I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Right now, I'm like,
I'm totally joking.
Yeah. His yeah. So yeah, newer players, up and coming pros. You want to see a mental game? Nate Zimnick, tune in. He's real, man. He is the guy that you want to watch in terms of how to handle yourself and carry yourself as a pro. You know, he's a real one.
All right, dropped a lot of knowledge. We hit that hour mark for Blake U episode 2.
Cool, man.
Thank you for your time. And we'll have you back
for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Dropping some knowledge. All right, peace, guys.